Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault games. We have Rodney on Dragon, and I'm not sure we can really call it Dragon still. It doesn't actually run World Gorger anymore. It's running Abdul instead. Make a whole army, but not make infinite mana. And Grief shows up first, seeing a hand with double Force and Negation, so that's a bit awkward. Prismatic Ending and Uro, the other options. One of those Force and Negations is going to go away. Bristlebrand, the card being pitched. Force and Negation can't stop Grief, unlike Unmask. Also can't stop Putrid Imp. So Rodney will be able to get whatever he wants into the graveyard from his hand. Abdul is in the bin. Any Reanimate, well, that's not accurate. Dance of the Dead and Animate Dead, those will work quite well with Abdul. Reanimate doesn't work at all with him. And Rob pondering. At this point, just needs to get the shields up and prevent any Reanimate effect from happening. Upside for Abdul also. Benefit. His downside is not as bad as the downside of Dragon. They do have an answer for the Animate Dead or Dance of the Dead. You don't lose your whole board. Back to the graveyard. Land going after that Bayou. If you've seen Rodney on the channel recently, I believe it's been mono black. I don't know if I've shown anything with his green splash that he's trying out. And there's a Reanimate, which is resolving. That hits Grief. Force Negation, Uro, and Expressive Iteration in hand. Allowing that to resolve. Expressive Iteration and Uro. There's very little chance that this Grief is going to be able to be relevant in terms of his stat lines. Uro completely negates the entire hacking side of things. I actually really like that Reanimate very much. Rodney is stuck on one land, trying to make some type of relevant plays. Another Putrid Imp. Even with Threshold, this 5 damage a turn, not going to be sufficient versus the inevitable Uro from the other side of the table. 6/6, gains 3 life. Draws cards on top of it. Is undoing some of the work so far. So goes to the bin. Mystic Sanctuary actually putting Force and Negation on top. Ponder drawing into it, so Rob's hand got to be pretty solid here. Actually wasting a Swords to Plowshares on Grief. A little surprised at that. Putrid Imp turns sideways. Swords to Plowshares probably doesn't have much in the way of targets. Kind of like the idea of being able to keep a white mana open to potentially stop the Abdul loop. Boy, another Putrid Imp. This is looking like a garbage keep. Seen that one reanimate. Lander. That's really rough to be drawing your Bayou in game 1. Really, you just want your mana base to be swamps here. No green deck. Ball Therapy sees force and endurance and an expressive iteration. That is atrocious from the dragon side of the table. 2 absolute must deal with cards, and then a way to go digging to find more. That is pretty brutal. Let's see, Rodney, and what dragon does? I'll just and go. It's a very problematic card. Soul Guide Lantern. One of the weaker graveyard hate cards on its own, but with its synergy with Urza's Saga, potential to cantrip those decks when you've already mangled their graveyard prospects. Also, each opponent compared to target opponents. So, cards like Leyline of Sanctity is relevant, or can become relevant in Legacy. This is the hand. Brainstorm, Ponder, Flusterstorm, 2 expressive iterations. Cards could turn into anything, including more cantrips. Got all the swamps on the other side of the board this game. Not wanting to get wastelanded out of contention. Got a Dance of the Dead. Grabbing Uro. That might be a line. Just cycling Dance of the Dead, essentially. No extra land drop off of it. We not have a creature in the graveyard. Gonna need you get a creature into the graveyard and then another creature after that. Soul Guide Lantern probably gonna have to be played directly through. I feel like the stronger sideboard plan so far has been the Sedgemoor Witch. Just a 2-card combo. Doesn't touch the graveyard. Splash is for Reverent Silence. Possibly Nature's Claim. Just very efficient answers to opposing graveyard hate. And Dothy Voidwalker. Yeah, that's not great. 3-power creature that cannot block, does not line up very good versus an Uro, which is going to gain 3 life a turn. Oh, and Rob shows still got all these. 2 Force of Wills and 2 Endurances. Says, how you gonna win? Still got all these.